Hello friends. Did you know that a lawn requires 1 to 1.5 inches, and depending on temperatures and your soil, even more water than that per week? Around here, between 1 and 1.5 inches in the summertime is about what you need to maintain a nice healthy green space, but I decided to push that to the limit and see how low I could go. I managed to pull my watering down by 50%, and I'm going to show you exactly how that went, how I did it, and where we are today. Let's go. Check the links down below for everything I'm going to be talking about here on how you can conserve water, some of the tools that I used. It's all down in the description below, so please make sure you take a look at that stuff. They are going to be very, very useful for you if you're trying to conserve water. Let me talk a couple of details about this first. Now, number one, this was not about saving money. I have a flat rate that I pay for water here that's gone up and up over the years. It gives me about 20,000 gallons to use on my first tier, and then it goes up after that. For the last few years, I've been able to keep myself under that level. Now, obviously, the lawn is going to take up a significant portion of that. I have 5,000 square feet of turf that I'm watering, some of it that's on clay loam, some of it that's on pure sand. The sand would typically take more water than the clay does because we have better retention here. Now, what I did is for the first 2 weeks of the month of July, I only watered 2 times, 7 days apart. I use my Irrigreen app to track the gallons that are used because of the flow sensors and the meters that are in that sprinkler system. It tells my total gallons. I set the amount of inches I want watered per week or per watering, and that gives us the idea on the way all of this should look. Okay, if you're new here, you should go ahead and subscribe. There's one thing that you should know about me is I like to try to conserve as much as possible. I want to conserve water, conserve fertilizer. I don't want to be doing a lot of extra applications or extra work in order to have a beautiful green space. So I'm trying to see where my bottom threshold is here on the water that I need. Over the month of July, we had many days in a row above 90 degrees with our average humidity being like 15%. It's super low, super dry, super windy. If you look behind me in the air, you can see there's smoke in the air from all the West fires. It has been dry and hot. Now, as we entered into the second part of the month, after I did my first 2 weeks of just watering 2 times, I went ahead and split the applications to where I was watering on a Wednesday and watering on a Sunday, and I cut it down to 0.3 on each of those waterings. So that gave me 0.6. I increased it by just a little bit over what I had done before, but I split it out. And the reason I did that is I was starting to see hot spots show up on those 1 week watering intervals. So I increased the water a little bit and split the days. So here's where we are right now. The lawn looks pretty good, but there are some dry spots and there are some things that I'm going to need to pay a little extra attention to. I found a couple places where I needed to adjust my sprinklers so that they were watering everything. They missed a couple of spots, so now that's been corrected. So great, we'll get everything covered off that way. But the biggest and most interesting thing wasn't the dry spots. It was all the spots that showed up because of my so-called best friend. So a huge thing that happened because I cut the water so much, the ground moisture is obviously going to be less, the leaf blade moisture is going to be less, and the dog spots increased like crazy. I was out of town for about 10 days, so I wasn't doing anything on the lawn, and there was an extra guest doggy here. So 2 female dogs on the lawn for about a week caused double the trouble. The turf is thick, the turf is healthy, the turf is doing well. What I did to do this was 2 applications of the liquid hydrate, and you can see a video right here about that if you want to find out more. In the typical hot spots, I used the granular hydrate and put that out just in areas where the water wasn't quite hitting. Well, I've corrected all those with irrigation now, and so we're going to see those all fill back in. So the granular is available, the liquid is available. Both of those are now in online stores, so you guys can get out and get after it and start cutting your water down. But here's the overall thing. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend going for a 50% cut in your water. I think that that is a lot. It is a lot. And soil is going to play a major role in that. Organic matter in the soil Your lawn typically needs between an inch and a half of water in a week. We've been able to pull that down just by better utilization in the soil, less evaporating, less being lost. But it's something to kind of go down and find where your kind of happy medium is, to where you still have really good turf color, to where you really have good turf density, and you're not getting those hot, dry spots as well. With all those other goodies and the things that I did to try to conserve water, that only is like one part of the program, right? We've got to continually feed and fertilize and take care of the lawn in all other aspects. If I was low on my nutrition, none of this would matter. The lawn would look like crap. So I'm making sure that it's still getting fed all the time. I'm coming up on my next feeding now. But with what we just went through out here this summer, this lawn is kicking ass right now, and yours can do the exact same thing. I'll talk to y'all real soon. See ya.